Welcome, everyone, to our practice of gentle yoga's partner in yoga, Yin Yoga. They're like the yin and the yang of yoga. Yin Yoga is a more passive style of yoga, and gentle yoga is a more active style of yoga. Active is the yang part. Yin is the opposite. So as we move into our practice of Yin Yoga today, remember that our goal and our objective is to move towards letting go, to be in the moment, and to release, let the body release in the moment. So when we begin our practice today, we're going to be face down. I'm Debbie Nolan with Henrico Recreation and Parks, and today we have Anna. Anna is going to greet you there. She's already in position for us to begin today. Anna Trong with Recreation and Parks as well. Now, Yin is expressed with longer holds, and we work more deeply into the body, into the connective tissue, and all of the areas to improve circulation around the joints, and even deeper into the body. And we do that through stillness. So make sure that your area that you're going to practice in is quiet. Perhaps you just shut the door to the hubbub in the rest of the house. If you have a yoga mat, use it. If you don't have a yoga mat, a beach towel. I would use a beach towel here or a towel under your upper body if you're just going to use your carpet, because you may find that the carpet might be a little itchy for you. So either way, whatever your supporting surface is going to be, you're going to want to set that and lay it down. And you may need blocks or a supporting firm pillow of some sort as well. So you'd have them around your practice area. So we're going to begin our practice of Yin today face down, and you're going to stack each arm like so. So if you look, most of the time when we stack our arms, we'll stack right here at our wrist, as I'm doing here sitting upright. But what you want to do is bring your elbows closer together so that your upper hand is actually touching around your upper arm. And then you'll just bring your forehead to those stacked arms. So I'm going to get in position as well, and we'll begin our practice from here. So you'll join us too. Good. As we're here, let's go ahead with the stacked arms with your forehead down. Resist the impulse to cross your ankles and back. Just let the legs relax out. Good. Let your heels relax. Good. And just keep the head stacked on the arms. Now we have our arms head in this position because here you're starting to stimulate the third eye or the sixth chakra. And that particular chakra is the one of intuition that helps us look inward into our body. Sometimes it's a little quiet voice that warns us, maybe I shouldn't do that. Or, maybe I should take advantage of this opportunity as it presents itself. So here, we'll work with that opportunity. So allow your breath to start to take the lead. Let your mind start to scan your body. Look for the places where you're really holding the muscles tight. I like to call that surface tension. So just notice where in your body you're feeling surface tension. And as you're breathing, perhaps you collect some of that in, maybe you even tighten the area. And then when you exhale out, just allow those muscles to relax. If you're joining us for the first time, Yin poses are held a bit longer. They have different names from traditional poses because the intention of the pose itself has changed. Because here we're looking to let go into the pose. And Yin is a more meditative practice. So we allow ourselves to check in with the body and be where we are. But a little bit longer in the pose allows the body to relax and get the full benefit of the pose. In most Yang classes, whether they be any other type of fitness or yoga, we're so busy trying to react to what's being asked of us that the mind controls the whole activity. Here in Yin, the body takes the lead, and the mind just kind of gives up that lead for a while and allows it to relax, allows it to just experience where we're at. So do check in as we're here with the state of you from the crown of your head to your toes, as your breath is flowing freely and fully. Just notice how even in this position, the back rises up to greet the breath, And when you exhale, it's almost as if you just settle back to the earth, back in contact. So steady breath and just allowing yourself to be in this moment. Not outside the room, not anywhere else, but right here, this moment. Notice any stressors that may be present. Maybe you just don't feel comfortable in the pose. Shift around a little bit till you are, and then find stillness. Maybe it's physical. If it's physical, listen to your body. Let's explore the edges of our movement, but relax into them here. Release into the poses. Very, very, very nice. Now, we're going to come out of this pose, and we're going to bring our hands to our shoulders, just beneath our shoulders. And as we do that, we're going to press to hands and knees. Good. So as we come up into hands and knees, now if you have tender knees and you're not on a carpeted surface, you can always pull your mat back or bring your beach towel underneath your knees and put your knees on top of that. Good. So as we do that, that gives you a little extra cushioning. Good. Here, let's think of a pose called puppy dog pose. It's a little bit like downward dog, but you're on your knees. So you allow your hands to move forward. Good. And you just allow your head to relax down. Now, here's a little tip. You can take one of your blocks and put your head on that block in between your arms. Good. And then just relax your elbows down so that you're in relaxed puppy dog. And here, just pause in the pose for a moment. Good. Try to have the hands far and the elbows far enough forward that you don't feel like you're pressing all of your body weight into that area. Just find a relaxed place to be right here. Good. Here, drop your tailbone down slightly towards your heels, which allows you to lengthen your spine a bit. Now, in Yin, we have transition poses. That just means poses to help us from the main pose move from one to the next. And so this is what we're using this pose for now. Good. Now, after 2 more breaths, we're going to move into a dragon series. Ooh. Like the mother of dragons, father, sister, uncle, but dragon poses. So inhale here and lift your head, flow the hands back. Now, you might need that block in a moment. You can just put it to the side. Good. Let's bring our right foot out to the side. Good. And go ahead and bring it out at just a little bit of an angle. So don't point your knee and toe forward. Just move it out at a little bit of an angle. Good. Now, walk your foot forward. Good. And then come forward so that you're off of your back knee with your hip. So here, and if you have your block, just sit it out in front. Good. Allow your hips to relax down towards the mat. Now, while you're here, try to not have your elbows rigid. Good. Walk your foot out until you feel like your foot is right under your knee. So you might open past your mat. You might be on the rug next to your mat. But think of being open. And there's a reason for that, because that allows us to allow our torso to go down a little bit deeper towards the mat. Now, you might want to now, as you're in the pose and as you work through being in this pose, to release your elbows, soften them, bring your head towards your chest. And as you're paused right here, good, continue doing what you're doing now, keeping the elbows soft, just like Anna's doing here. Perhaps you open your hands a little wider towards the edges of your mat. Good. So as we're right here, perhaps you find in a few moments that you can either come down to your elbows on the block and put your hands together, or you may find that you can go all the way down to the mat. It's up to you. The block is there for you. Now we go from, when we're in the first dragon, we're here. This dragon is alert dragon. We're checking out the landscape, looking for things that may need attention. Most of the time we see dragons on the downspouts of cathedrals and churches. They're up there with the gremlins. Good. And after a few moments, as you feel your body relax, maybe you come down to the block, maybe you come down to your elbows. Remember, either the block or the floor, either one of those are great. Now, as in any form of yoga, don't force where you take your body to, but allow your hips to relax down to the mat in this pose. Good, very nice. And using 2 blocks at one time. Excellent adaptation. You use that to allow yourself to relax into the pose just like Miss Anna is doing. It's perfect. Checking on my partner. Good. And as we're breathing in and out, now the dragon is sleeping. Now, if you're in a pose and you start to feel little trembly movements in your body, that's muscles not wanting to relax. So they're firing little bursts of energy. So as you're breathing in and breathing out, just try to settle that, or perhaps you come back up to the next level, whichever one works for you. You're still going to have some of that trembling movement in yin. You'll feel it. Good. So wherever you're at in this pose, let's be here for 3 more breaths. Remember, your breath length might be different from ours. So when you reach your 3rd breath, what we're going to do is walk that foot out to the side and back behind. And when you complete that breath, then we're going to press back into resting pose, which is the same thing, of course, as child's pose. But in yin, you might want to have that block, and you put your head on top. Relax your elbows down, and just allow yourself to be. Now, if you don't sit back on your heels, no worries. You can put the towel that you may have behind your knees and sit back on that. You might have a pillow. All of that is good. You have to respect your knees wherever they take you to. No forcing. And then once your head is anchored, whether your chin is on your chest or your arms are stretched forward, just be here. And find rest. Again, just notice the flow of the breath through the body as you breathe in and out. And as I mentioned earlier, most yin poses, we truly just want to let go. If you're not settled in the pose, then shift around. In this case, you could just come to face down on the mat to transition if you like, if being in resting pose is uncomfortable for you. Good, and then after our next breath, let's flow back to hands and knees. So our inhale, and then our exhale, and then we flow back up to our hands and knees. If you were using that beach towel behind your legs, just move them. Good, go ahead and have your block up near the front if you were using that as a prop. And you may find that you need the block on one side but not on the other, and that's perfectly all right. You don't have to be symmetrical. Good. So this time, let's think about our left leg so that we can move into alert dragon. So we're going to bring that left leg forward, walk it way forward so that we can allow our hips to flow down and back. Good. So we have the toe and the knee pointed out a little bit towards the side, and we pause right here. Now do make sure your foot is under your knee, so the back of your foot rather than the front of your foot. So we pause right there. It's better to have your foot a little further forward than it is a little further back. So as we pause here, allow yourself to first relax into your hips. Relax your hips down. Soften them. Notice in this side of the body if you get the trembling that you may have felt on the opposite side. So then perhaps we work our elbows downward. Perhaps we use 2 blocks or 1 to come to. All's good. Perhaps you find on this side that you can go all the way to the mat. Whichever one works for you. Over the course of the next 3 breaths, come to the deepest point of the pose for you, wherever that takes you. Good, and as you breathe in and out, notice where you feel the most sensation in this pose. because that is where you want to bring your focus as you breathe in and out. So when you breathe in, think of softening that area as you breathe out. Sometimes we say, hey, that's easier said than done. True, it's a cultivated technique, but here we start by noticing the area, breathe in, keep thinking about that area, and then when you exhale, see if you can just barely shift a little bit or just change your mindset to allow it to start to relax. So sleeping dragon. So even in stillness, yin can be challenging. That's the nature of the practice. However, we're not doing it through movement and vinyasa, but by being in place and allowing the muscles to strengthen internally and lengthen gradually around those joints and around the insertions for the muscles and the bones. Good. So after one more breath, let's work our way back up. So we come to the hands. Good. And as we go there, we take that foot and we move it back to the side. Good. And this time when we come into resting pose, open your knees up really, 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 really wide. And I'm going to let Anna demonstrate that. Wider than your mat even. Good. And when you come down, bring your torso as close to the mat as you can and relax your hands and arms down on the mat. So think about your torso actually touching the mat, like you've melted down in between your knees. Good. And as we're breathing in and out here, just notice any places where you still feel that surface tension. Breathe in, breathe out, and think about a duck and water flowing off of a duck's back. And as the water flows off your back, imagine the tension being that water. Beautiful. And as you flow in and out, we see that tension start to float away. Now, as in any poses, some of our poses are more challenging than others. And for many people, this pose is very challenging. It just depends on the nature of your body. Each of us are uniquely different, and our yoga affects every person in a good way, but there's challenging sticky wicket places to be. So here, sometimes the challenge is to just stay in the pose. As long as you're not having sharp shooting pains. If you have a little grumpiness in the pose, that's a good thing. Never force, though. Good. So with that, Anna will go ahead and start working her way back up to seated position. Great. And as we bring our arms forward and our legs forward, good, you might want the blocks. Now we're going to use the blocks a little differently this time when we counter pose, and bring the blocks behind us, and you can put them either this way, and you can use a towel, pillow, a firmer pillow for this. I'm going to put them like this behind my back, and I might need to open them up a bit. So I'm going to come back and rest my elbows on the blocks. So for me, I open them up a little bit wider. Good. I'm going to place my hands on my hips, relax my legs out. Now, the tendency here is to collapse in your chest. Now, even in yin, you want to lift your torso up. So think of the middle of your body being very light. Now, if you have no issues with your neck, you can relax your head back. Good. Or you can just have your head in an upward movement in alignment with your spine here. Good. So you can also bring your chin to your chest so that your head is anchored. So any one of those works well. Good. So just relaxing the hands against your body. Let each breath feel as if it's opening your heart, floating your upper body up. The legs are relaxed. Good. And the body is just being here. Now, gravity is going to try to pull you down. You may feel the firing of those muscles again as they protest a bit at a deeper level. Inhale in and exhale out. After a few moments, you may find, I think I can move from the blocks to the mat. Whatever works for you today. But it's not about how deep you can go into a pose or your perception of that, but just being where you can be supported in the pose. without harm, and yet with challenge as well. So as we pause here, good. So this is a variation of caterpillar. Good. And then as we flow 2 more breaths here, we'll lift back upright. Good, and we start by anchoring our legs, floating our hands down from beside our body, and then just using them to help us come back up to seated position. So as we do that, we pause, and we open up our legs into half dragonfly. So let's bring the left leg in first. So as we do that, again, you might want your block or one of your blocks. Good. 2 ways to use them. If the leg on this side is elevated off the floor, just put the block, or you can put your beach towel under that knee. Whatever grounds it. Remember, you want to work towards grounding and being in contact with the mat. So you shift around a little bit. You find that place to be. Good. And then let's inhale, breathe up. Good. And exhale, place the hand on the shin bone. Reach out behind you and turn in that direction. So here, just think long, reaching in that direction. Good. So you think, okay, well, I have a hand hanging out in the air here. I thought you said everything had to be grounded. So here's how we do it. We put our hand on our shoulder. We lift our elbow higher. Good. Let's turn our head and look at the right foot. Slide your hand down a little further. Now, you may find that you want to put a block here on the outside or inside. I'm going to put the block on the inside of my foot and put my hand right there. Now, when the hand's touching here, you can turn your head, look at that right foot, and reach out over your head and just allow either the arm to drape over your head, or you can put your hand to the back of your head so your whole hand is holding the back of your skull. Good. And so the head is just resting in your hand. You're looking towards the foot. You relax your elbow down. Good. Now your elbow may come forward a little bit on the left. You want to just rotate enough that it's back. Good. And after a few moments, when you feel the armpit area and your shoulders start to relax, perhaps you can let your arm drape over your head. If it doesn't go there today, no worries. Good. So half dragonfly. Wherever you're at in the pose, just shut your eyes for a moment and be there. Very nice. Now, float your arm up off your head and straight up to the sky. Let your eye follow your thumb. Good. Turn the arm behind your back and allow that arm to drape behind your back. Maybe you slip your fingers into the waistband of your pants. Good. Keep looking over your shoulder. Exhale. If you go deeper, you can even put your hand on your foot. Remember, that's not a goal. You're just anchoring the hand there. Good. Making sure everything is got a place to be without hanging out there in space. You want to be supported. Good. You can allow your head to relax down on the bottom arm or your bottom shoulder. Good. Try to keep the shoulders down even though you're in a relaxed position. You should feel a big opening flowing down that left side of your body. Depending on the strength of the muscles in your bent leg, you're going to feel a lot of sensation if you're stronger in that leg, if that's more of your dominant leg and the muscles are more contracted. Or if it's not, you may feel just warm. Now, one thing about yin, when you start to feel warm internally, it's working. Good. Let's float our head back up. Good, and just slide that arm forward. Release the leg on the right. And let's just slide the legs out. Good. Now, earlier we talked about those transition poses. Again, here, just place the hands on your shin bones and then round forward. Again, caterpillar in the middle. Just let the legs relax. I think that's the hardest concept for most people, is to relax their legs forward. We're so used to coming in yoga and bringing those legs together and put your knees and toes straight up. Here, you just want to release into the pose. You're not slouching, it's with control. Good. So notice the flare of the ribs and back as you inhale and exhale. Good. And let's flow back upright as we inhale. Now, guess what? We've got the other half of the dragonfly. So now the left leg comes out. Good. And the right leg comes in. Now, I didn't say this earlier, but just respect your knee as to how far up you bring your foot. If you have no knee issues and you want to bring your foot all the way up, feel free to do so. If your knee's in the air, block beneath. Now, you'll notice that blocks have different thicknesses. You'll see the ones I have are way thicker than Anna's. So in some things that we do, they're not very comfortable. So here, I only use them when I need to because they're actually a little too broad. So in that case, I would use something like this under my knee if I needed to, or I would double it up like so, and you could do the same thing. So remember, if your knee's elevated, you really want that because you want to be grounded. Good. So as we start here in Dragonfly, again, make sure your sit bones are settled, that your pelvis feels a little open. If it doesn't, shift a little bit. Good. Let's bring the hand to the side again. Excellent. Take a big inhale. Rotate your shoulder back. Good. And just pause here for a moment. And then lift that right hand up to the sky. Turn it towards the wall beneath. And then behind, hand comes towards your waistband, as if you're putting your fingertips there. Just make sure your whole arm feels like it's totally touching your torso. And start by looking over your shoulders. So do lift your heart up a little bit. Lift your sternum up and rotate that left shoulder in just a bit. Now, not as strongly as you would do in a traditional yang class or a gentle class or any other kind of yoga, but just a little bit of a twist so that you start to put the body in alignment. Good. And if you have no issues with your neck, look over your shoulder. Good. This is where we find if we have a grumpy neck. And if the neck gets grumpy, you can turn your head and look at the foot on the left. It's all good. Good. Do think about that right shoulder flowing back with the hand, back and down. Good. So now perhaps we might want to go a little deeper in the pose. Again, you can use your block if you like. You can put it next to the leg. You can put it on the inside of the leg. You can hold the foot if that's accessible for you. Now, the only caveat on that is if you hold the foot and your knee pops up, no, ma'am. No, sir. Hand here or block. Just let the leg relax down. Good. So if you're using the block, wherever you want to put it, roll your shoulder back, float your right arm out to the side, and float it up to the sky. Good. Now, look at the foot on the left. Touch your shoulder first, and then roll that shoulder back. So we pause right there. So our shoulder's grounded because we're touching it. Good. The elbows lifted high. Good. So whatever method you're using on that left side, place it there. If you're using your foot, great. Good. Now pausing here, just being in the pose. Good. After a few moments, you can either leave your hand on the right on the shoulder. Good. Or you can place the hand behind your head, cup that whole head with your entire hand, and then roll your shoulder back. Good. You can look up at your elbow if you like. Keep breathing. Steady breath. Again, if you start to feel any of those little electric little pulses. Just take a few deep breaths and settle. Because you're at one of those places where your body doesn't want to let go. And then you may find after a few moments that you can turn your head, look at that foot on the left, and just allow the arm to relax over your head, chin towards your chest, and then just feel that big opening down the whole right side of your body. Now, if you have any issues with your shoulders or your elbows, use any of those positions in between. And if none of those work for you, just place your hand on your hip. All works well. You can even go back to the hand behind your back, like the waterfall. So all of those are good. So hand, shoulder, head, arm, whichever one is the most accessible for you. Very, very, very nice. Now float that arm back up to the sky, and that would be your right arm. Float it down. Good. Lift back upright. Good. Now let's bring our feet together in front of our body. Good. Now, here's what we're going to do. Bring a foot on top. Good. Have your block, one on one side and one on the other. Lean back. Good. Now, Anna, I'll tell you what. Let me get you to change position. So turn towards our beautiful logo. Our beautiful backdrop. Good. And I'm going to turn sideways, and I'm going to say right and left on this one. So we flow to our back now, flow all the way down, and put your left ankle on top of your right knee. And the blocks are out to the side. Good. Now shift a little bit and allow the back to relax. Good. Now, with the leg crossed, here's how we're going to move into this pose. It's called twisted root, like the root on a tree. Top foot wants to come down closer to your hip, right here at your groin. Now, it might not want to go there here. And again, honor your knee. So as you turn your hips to the right side, what you want to do is if the foot floats in the air, you can put it on a block. Good. So let's shift our hips a little bit to the left and then allow them to go to the right until your left foot touches the floor. Good. Now, the whole reason for the foot to be up near the torso is so that you can reach down and hold your ankle on that side. Good. Now, the other leg, just push the knee away towards your left. So just allow the leg to go to that side a little bit. Maybe you let the foot walk it over a bit. Good. You can take your opposite hand, that should be your left hand, on your hip. You can put it behind your head. But you want to allow the arm to be on the floor. So if your arm is up here somewhere, just to let your head relax down and put your hand here. And another alternate is to reach your arm all the way up over your head, like, I know the answer to the question. As long as it touches the mat. If it's elevated, just come back to any one of those three choices. Now, right away, relax the sit muscles, all of the muscles in your seat, on the right side where your body's touching the mat. Good. And now you can see why this is called twisted root. It's a little twisted. Good. And as you're breathing in and out, just find that settle point. That I'm at peace, I'm here. Good. Now on your third breath, just totally relax everything. And again, you might not be at that place today, so be as soft in the pose as you can. Work towards not clenching the muscles, but where you are. Good. Now, after this breath, just bring the hand down, and that was the hand that was behind your head, your left hand. Then float your knees back up again. Whether you hold your foot or not like I did, doesn't matter. Good. Now uncross your leg and cross the other leg. So yes, the tree has twisted roots on both sides. So now slide that foot a little bit closer to your hip. Now you have to honor your knees. Both knees may not bend the same way. So if you reach the foot, great. If you don't. So next thing you want to do is shift your hips a little bit to the right. That enables you to twist. Rotate and come to the side. If your foot's not touching the mat, put the foot on your block. Good. So whichever way works for you, whether you're using a block or a towel. Now once you're in place, press that bottom knee back. That's your left knee. And then let the right foot come in close. Good. Now remember, right arm can touch your hip, can be behind your head, can reach up in, I know the answer. If you don't know the answer, you bring your hand back down. Good. So just find which arm position works for you. Good. So notice all the places where you feel more surface tension. Breathe in and out, inhaling and exhaling, softening into the pose. Very nice. After your next breath, inhaling and exhaling, just allow both arms to come down beside your body. Go ahead and take the right arm and lay it on top, right leg and lay it on top of the left, and then turn to that left side. Use your bottom arm for a pillow. Good. And pause here. And just close your eyes for a moment. Send yourself a positive thought. A note of encouragement. Perhaps it's an I am statement. I am strong. I am focused. I am hanging in there. Whatever it is, just put that in the back of your mind. And take that home with you as you finish your practice in a few moments today. So keep that as part of today's practice out into the world, off the mat. So on your next inhale and exhale, let's come back to a seated position. We can flow back upright. Use that top arm to help press yourself up. Good. Try to keep your eyes shut if possible. If not, no worries. Good. And let's just come into butterfly today to finish up. Good. So shift a little bit. Again, if your knees are in the air, put blocks under them. Now here, just let the toes touch. Very, 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 very nice. As we inhale, once the toes touch, allow them to relax because this is yin. Take your thumbs and just run your thumbs up the arch of your foot. Good. So don't do it quickly. Good. Just wake up those muscles there. Good. And then just place the hands on both sides for a moment. Good. Round your back as if you're going to put your head on your feet. Chin to your chest. Good. And as we flow back upright, let's float the shoulders back and down. Good. And as we get ready to seal our practice today, let's bring our hands to our knees or to heart center, whichever you like. Good. And as we seal the practice, allow ourselves to reach within, find stillness, breathe in and breathe out. Take a moment and send a positive thought out to the very first person who pops into your mind. They need that note of encouragement. That's why you thought of them. Send that positivity their way. The light that shines from within each of us present here today. It's that same light that we sing about in songs as little children, that light that makes us who we are, unique and personal. We share that positive energy. We share our practice of yin today. But most of all, we share life. We share the joy of being with each other. Thank you for letting me lead your practice today. Namaste.